Marlboro brings you the National Football League highlights of the 1962 season. The Los Angeles Rams had rough sledding in 1962, but they came up with some great play. The Rams had the ball against the Bears early in the season. Zeke Bretkowski drops back and fires over the middle. Carroll Dale goes all out to make the catch, keeps his balance, and rockets for the end zone to complete an 80-yard scoring play. Rookie quarterback Ron Miller, number 9 for the Rams, also had some great moments. Against the Redskins, Miller eludes a strong rush and throws on the run. Jim Phillips makes an unbelievable catch and trots in easily for a touchdown that helped the Rams tie Washington. The big man in the Ram attack is number 22, Dick Bass. Dick consistently turned in runs like this 45-yard gallop against the Lions. Dick finished third among the league's rushers. Defensively, the Rams had their troubles, but they managed to come up with spectacular plays like Lyndon Crow's interception against the 49ers. Lyndon spins loose and starts upfield. He shakes 2 49ers at midfield, then picks up a covey of blockers. Lyndon goes all the way on a 65-yard thriller that helped the Rams to a 28-14 win over the rival 49ers. Week after week, it was the little fullback, Dick Bass, who provided most of the thrillers. Here he goes again on another dazzling excursion. The Rams found some new stars in Roman Gabriel and Merlin Olsen, and they expect to move up the ladder next year. Injuries to key people were a major cause of the Philadelphia Eagles' slide from 2nd place to 7th place in the East. The St. Louis Cardinals attempt a field goal in the first game of the season in Philadelphia. Jerry Purry's kick is short, and Tim Brown takes it on the 1-yard line. The Eagles speedster comes up the right side behind some lusty blocking. Timmy gets to the 30, then heads for the other side of the field. Timmy shifts into high gear and has just enough speed at the end to bounce in for a 99-yard touchdown. Timmy's effort ties the league record. The Jurgensen and McDonald combination worked as well, if not as often as ever. Sonny fakes to Tommy for a score against the Browns. Jurgensen kept the Eagles in almost every game with his strong right arm. Again, he hits McDonald for a TD against the Redskins. Tommy shows the fans how strong his right arm is. But the boy who kept the Eagle fans on the edge of their seats even through a losing year was number 22, Timmy Brown. Watch him go against the Vikings. An earth-shaking block by John Wittenborn springs Timmy loose down the left sideline. 3 Vikings converge on him, but the quick Mr. Brown pulls up, then cuts back and goes in for a sensational 81-yard touchdown play. The return of Pete Retzlaff, out most of the season with a broken arm, helped the Eagles take 2 of their last 4 games. If the Eagles can beef up their defensive line, they'll be back strong in 63. The Minnesota Vikings could only manage a couple of wins in the rugged Western Conference, but they caused the top teams a lot of anxious moments along the way. Sophomore quarterback Fran Tarkenton was the boldest warrior in the Viking shift. Here, Fran fires to the end zone, and Bob Reed makes a leaping grab for 6 points against the 49ers. Tarkenton delighted fans all over the league with his catch-me-if-you-can tactics. Fran leads the Eagles on a Murray chase before he goes across to help the Vikings trim Philadelphia 31-21. Tarkenton proved he could fire the long bomb that an NFL team must have. Here, Fran hits Tommy Mason as the Vikings throw a scare into the Pittsburgh Steelers. One of the best performances by a Viking all season was that of Charlie Ferguson against the Bears. Tarkenton hits Charlie at midfield. Ferguson shakes off 1 Bear, then outruns 2 others on an 89-yard touchdown. Tarkenton threw 3 touchdown passes against the Bears, and Charlie Ferguson caught all 3. This one ended with a bang. Here's the wildest play of the year by any team. Fran Tarkenton decides to run against the 49ers. Brand gets 20 yards, then he hooks a 10-yard lateral to Hugh McElhenney. Hugh doesn't have it very long before he fumbles. Brand Tarkenton finally gets it back. Brand laterals to Bill Brown, and he fumbles. And now, where did it go? The Vikings played some great football in 1962, and with their great pass-catch combination of Fran Tarkenton and Tommy Mason, they'll be back to cause more trouble in the West next year. The St. Louis Cardinals flew away to a fast start, sagged in midseason, then came back strong in their final 2 games. Sam Etcheverry and Sonny Randall combined to lead the Redbirds to victory over the Eagles in Philadelphia, and this 68-yard touchdown was the big play. Charlie Johnson took over the controls after the 4th game, and the Cardinals liked the switch. Johnson hit Joe Childress to set up a touchdown in a 17-17 tie with the Redskins. Johnson and Sonny Randall nearly upset the mighty Giants in Yankee Stadium. Randall caught 16 passes, including this 60-yarder. This was the second-best pass-catching performance in NFL history. Johnson and Randall could go on to be one of the finest pass-catch combinations of all time. Charlie has the quick arm, and Randall can catch anything, even when he's covered by 2 men, as he is here, against the Steelers. John David Crow was the best runner in the Cardinal camp. Crow gained over 700 yards and scored 17 touchdowns on runs like this twister against the Cowboys. Cardinals had their finest game against the Cowboys, scoring 52 points. Johnson was letter perfect, as he shows on this pass to Bobby Joe Conrad. The Cardinals showed enough promise late in 1962 to be considered an Eastern contender in 1963. The San Francisco 49ers had championship visions, but fell short of their goal and finished in 5th place in the West. Action-wise, the 49ers were great all season. John Brody unleashes a long scoring strike to flanker-back Bernie Casey. The 49ers dropped their shotgun, but used halfback Billy Kilmer effectively on quick halfback passes like this one to Clyde Connor. John Brody had a bevy of fleet receivers to choose from against the Bears in Chicago. Brody hurls long to Jim Johnson. This 80-yard touchdown gave the 49ers a 34-27 victory over the Bears. One of the highlights of the 49er season was the running of J.D. Smith. J.D. tortured the defense constantly with artful dodges up the middle. Smith finished 6th in the league in rushing, thanks to second efforts like this. J.D. rolled for 907 yards in 14 games. The 49ers have always been represented in the kickoff and punt return department by Abe Woodson, their great defensive back. Abe turned in the longest punt return of the year, 85 yards against the Green Bay Packers. The 49ers hope to mend some defensive fences over the winter and come back strong for a full season in 1963. The Dallas Cowboys' 5 wins, 8 losses, and a tie in 62 could very well qualify as the league's most improved team. Strong running by halfback Don Perkins and fullback Amos Marsh was the Cowboy trademark. Here Marsh drives hard against the Redskins. Another reason for the fine play of the Cowboys was the sensational season of Frank Clark. Frank takes a Don Meredith pass against the Redskins. Frank shakes off 2 Indian defenders, then hightails it to the end zone for one of his 14 touchdowns. Eddie LeBaron alternated at quarterback with Meredith and had the same results when he dialed Frank Clark's number. Frank scores here against the Steelers. One of the most effective weapons in the Cowboy arsenal was the screen pass to either Perkins or Marsh. Here Marsh shows his heels to quite a few Steelers before being run out of bounds deep in Steeler territory. Eddie LeBaron continued to dazzle opponents with his never-ending bag of tricks. Watch him fake a field goal, then pitch to Lee Falkins. Balkins bypasses the Steeler and trots across for 6. The Cowboys have added many new stars to their roster, and with their established All-Pros, hope to improve as much in 1963 as they did in '62. The Baltimore Colts hope to regain their football prominence in 1962, but key injuries forced them to settle for 4th place in the West. The Colts started the season with a win over the Rams. Johnny Unitas and Raymond Berry provided the big play when it was needed. With Lenny Moore on the sideline with an injury, the Colts had to rely more on their passing game. Jimmy Orr takes a long Unitas pass for a touchdown against Detroit. Against the Browns in Cleveland, the Colts were at their best. Johnny Unitas steps up and fires to R.C. Owens for a tally as the Colts down the Browns 36-14. The once impregnable offensive line of the Colts sometimes failed to provide good protection for Unitas. When it did, John hurled long scoring bombs like this one to Jimmy Orr against the Bears in Chicago. Lenny Moore returned in midseason and sparked the Colts to a strong finish. Lenny scores here against the Rams. The Colts nearly beat the Packers in Green Bay. This long Unitas to Jimmy Orr connection scored 6 of the Colts' points. The Packers edged the Colts 17-13. The Colts hope to shore up their running game to counterbalance their great passing attack and improve on this year's 7-7 slate.
Julie London sings the Marlboro song.
Why don't you settle back and have a full-flavored smoke? Settle back with a Marlboro. Make yourself comfortable whenever you smoke. Have a Marlboro cigarette. You get a lot to like with a Marlboro filter, flavor, pack or box.
Try Marlboro, the filter cigarette with the unfiltered taste.
The Washington Redskins were the surprise of the season, winning 5 of their first 7 games and leading the East for 7 weeks running. The great Bobby Mitchell, taking this kickoff from the Dallas Cowboys, gave the Redskins the boost they needed to win. Bobby takes this one 92 yards for a score against the Cowboys in the season's opener. Norm Snead helped Mitchell celebrate his homecoming in Cleveland. Bobby takes a Snead pass late in the game and jukes his way through the entire Browns secondary to score the winning touchdown as the Redskins beat Cleveland 17-16. Bobby led the NFL in receiving with 72 catches. Norm Snead established himself as one of the league's great young quarterbacks. Norm fires under pressure, and Fred Dugan makes a heart-stopping catch for a touchdown. Snead and Mitchell teamed to form a fearsome duo. Here Bobby makes a nearly impossible catch against the Cardinals in St. Louis. With Snead improving with every game and great receivers such as Mitchell, Dugan, Dick James, and Bill Anderson, the Redskins climbed out of the Eastern cellar and finished in 4th place with 5 wins, 7 losses, and 2 ties. The Chicago Bears enjoyed their finest season since 1958, winning 9 of their 14 games. In the season's opener with San Francisco, Bear fullback Rick Caceres blasts up the middle as our slow-motion camera rolls. Big Rick hurdles the final 49er as he goes in for a touchdown. The fabled Willie Gallimore turned in the finest rushing performance of the year against the 49ers. Willie scooted for 181 yards and 22 carries. 77 of those yards came on this fantastic sprint for a touchdown. When the Bears met the 49ers in Chicago, this pass from Rick Caceres to John Farrington gave the Hallis men a quick tally over the surprise San Franciscans. The Bears added fullback Joe Marconi to their attack, and the X-Ram provided a spark with bull-like rushes down the sideline. Joe won't stop on this one till he's in that end zone. Quarterback Billy Wade had a fine year for the Bears, as did his great end, Mike Ditka. Iron Mike gives the Colts the stiff arm as he prances in to score on a 64-yard sortie. For the second year in a row, the Bears had the Rookie of the Year. Ronnie Bull, a halfback from Baylor, proved to be the league's best first-year man with runs like this. Mike Ditka, last year's Rookie of the Year, recovers Bull's fumble for a TD. The Cleveland Browns, preseason favorites to win in the East, had to scramble at the end of the season to finish above the 500 mark. The Browns played their finest game in the first week of the season. This triple reverse winds up in Jim Nanowski's hands. Jim fires downfield to Rich Kreitling for a big gain against the Giants. Against the Cowboys in Dallas, Nanowski again produced the big play when he fired over the middle to Big Jim Brown. The great fullback finds a rough reception at the goal line, but he bounces in for a touchdown. The Browns use Big Jim as a receiver more than ever this year. He makes a one-handed grab here against the Colts, then calls on his great speed and power to blaze to the end zone on a 53-yard beauty, pointing as he goes. The Browns added a new trick to their offense in the same game. Brown laterals back to Nanowski. Jim makes a shoestring catch and fires to Rich Kreitling. Rich spins loose and rings up 6. Frank Ryan took over the quarterback chores when Nanowski was hurt and turned in a creditable performance. Ryan selected Rich Kreitling as his favorite receiver, and Rich always came through. The Detroit Lions made a bold bid for Western Conference honors, but had to settle for second place with an 11-3 record. The Lions opened the season with a win over the Steelers. Nick Petrosani goes straight up the middle for one of 6 Lions scores. Quarterback Milt Plum found the switch from Cleveland to Detroit to his liking. He immediately combined with Terry Barr for plays like this touchdown against the 49ers. Petrosani and Dan Lewis gave the Lions a strong running attack. Here's Lewis, number 45, reeling off a beauty against San Francisco. Gail Cogdill escorts Danny on this 64-yard touchdown gallop. Defensively, the Lions were second to none. As Tom Moore passes for Green Bay, watch Yale Larry steal a touchdown from Boyd Dowler with a brilliant interception. Milt Plum's passing and great catches like this one by Gail Cogdill gave the Lions the best offensive threat they've had in the past few seasons. Tom Watkins developed into one of the league's best running halfbacks as the season progressed. Watch Mr. Watkins spin and fight his way free for a touchdown. On Thanksgiving Day, the Lions shocked the entire football world by roundly thrashing the Green Bay Packers. Bill Plum hit Gail Cogdill in the end zone. The Lions had 26 points before the Packers knew what hit them. But it was the great Lion defensive unit led by 300-pound Roger Brown that harassed Bart Starr and company, stopping the feared Packer offense cold. Earl Morrall came off the bench on several occasions to lead the Lions to victory. Here he hits Nick Petrosani for a touchdown against the Colts. The Pittsburgh Steelers enjoyed the finest season of their history, winning 9 of 14 games and finishing second in the East. Record-breaking Bobby Lane was the big man in the Steeler attack against the Cowboys. Bobby calls on Buddy Dial, and Fleet Buddy races in for a score. Fullback John Henry Johnson became the scourge of the East with his freewheeling running style. John Henry loved to hit that end zone. Johnson ripped for 1,141 yards in 14 games to finish second in league rushing. He carves out 40 yards here against the New York Giants. The Steelers beat the Giants in Yankee Stadium 20-17. As the Steelers outgun the Cowboys in Pittsburgh, Bobby Lane connects with Buddy Dial for a touchdown. Don't get shot, Buddy. The Steeler defense applied plenty of pressure on opposing passers, enabling defensive backs like Willie Daniels to make interceptions. Willie steals this pass from the Cardinals and goes all over the lot before crossing the goal line with a 49-yard return. The New York Giants overcame an opening day setback to win their 5th Eastern title in the last 7 years. The Giants were paced by their ageless passer Y.A. Tittle and his precision passes to the speedy Del Schaffner. This play covers 69 yards against the Eagles. As usual, the Giants made good use of every break along the way. An Eagle field goal attempt is blocked by the Giants. Defensive star Jim Patton picks up the bouncing pigskin. Patton returns 15 yards, then laterals to Dick Lynch, number 22. Lynch is joined by a Giant convoy and heads for the end zone. Jim Patton, number 20, takes out 2 Eagles. Lynch outmaneuvers Clarence Peaks to score on one of the year's most spectacular plays. The Giants received a tremendous effort throughout the entire season from Alex Webster, number 29. Big Alex rolls with a screen pass for 58 yards and a touchdown against the Steelers. Frank Gifford's return after a one-year layoff was a boost to the Giant offense. Y.A. Tittle passes to the end zone, and Gifford makes the catch. 35-year-old Y.A. had his finest year in 1962. Against the Cardinals, Y.A. rolls out and bootlegs the ball into the end zone for a touchdown. Tittle's as happy as a college sophomore scoring his first touchdown as he tosses the ball in the air. Tittle set a new league record by passing for 33 touchdowns. 12 of them were to Del Schaffner, who scores here against the Redskins. This long pass from Tittle to Schaffner is typical of the aerial antics that earned for the Giants the right to meet the Green Bay Packers for the NFL championship. The world champion Green Bay Packers breezed through most of 1962, winning 13 of 14 games to take their 3rd straight Western title. Quarterback Bart Starr engineered the Green Bay juggernaut with sharp passes to his great receivers. Ron Kramer takes this one, and the 250-pounder roars in to score as the Packers rout the Bears 49-0. Against the Lions in Green Bay, this crucial interception by Herb Adderley in the final second set up the game's winning field goal. Paul Hornung booted 3 field goals as the Packers beat Detroit 9-7. Bart Starr kept the defense honest with his timely pegs to Max McGee. Max outruns 3 Viking defenders on this 60-yard touchdown explosion. The kingpin of the Packers was their great fullback, Jim Taylor. Jim led the league in rushing and scoring, setting a new NFL mark with 19 touchdowns. The great Packer line really opened up when Taylor carried the ball. Jim was selected as the league's most valuable performer by the world's most qualified judges, the players of the National Football League. The Packers used an old football formula to achieve their success: good blocking and tackling. Tom Moore, number 25, filled in nobly when Paul Hornung was injured. The Packers played the Giants for the NFL championship on Yankee Stadium's frozen turf before 65,000 pneumonia-flaunting fans. The Packers lead 3-0 in the second period. Paul Hornung passes to Boyd Dowler, who fights to the Giants' 7. Jim Taylor roars in for the game's decisive points as Green Bay wins a hard-fought 16-7 victory over the Giants for its second straight world title. The National Football League highlights of the 1962 season has been brought to you by Marlboro, the filter cigarette with the unfiltered taste.